Danielle, do you want to start? Because obviously you've been doing this the longest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been so lovely working with the two of you. And I think it really does show, as you say, such a wonderful example of three women who are so passionate about wellness, so passionate about helping people and making a significant difference and impact in the world, but actually joining together because we've all got different skill sets, we've all got different knowledge within the wellness and health sector. And what we did is we thought, you know what, let's bring all three of us in together and create this amazing facial gua sha teacher training, which has been fantastic. And now, what, almost a year into it, we're coming up to a year soon. It's just been so, I know, it's been so amazing to see how many women have taken this course and then they are now teaching gua sha either in group classes or they're teaching them at the end of, perhaps if they're doing facials at the end, they're showing their clients how to do techniques, or they're face yoga teachers that do the face yoga class and then include some gua sha in it at the end. And it's been amazing to see how they have transformed their businesses through, let's face it, a really tricky 2 years by doing this teacher training. And that's exactly why we did it. We did it because during lockdown, let's face it, a lot of therapists weren't able to work. So they had to switch across and to start doing sessions on Zoom, for example. So we said, well, okay, well, why don't you learn how to use this facial gua sha and you can teach people on Zoom. I know Katie Blake was doing that a lot. Our face yoga teachers were saying, look, we love teaching face yoga one-to-one and in groups, but actually what we really want to do as well is include these gua sha techniques. So they have been really successful at doing it. We've had yoga teachers, we've had holistic therapists, we've had personal trainers, and we've had people with absolutely no experience in the industry as well come in, take this course, be trained by the amazing Katie Blake. She's our super trainer. She's the one that guides you all the way through it and teaching these beautiful techniques. So what I've really loved seeing is not only how the three of us have worked together and empowered each other as three women, but also how we're able to empower other women as well.
I agree. And so Katie, you're a really interesting example of somebody that had a hugely successful business originally, which was you as a therapist, one-man band, like with your ladies, like I used to be. And again, like me, translated that due to just not, I mean, I didn't intend to translate it. It's just what's happened. I didn't have that male energy where I kind of felt power driven to kind of create some empire. That's never been the plan. I married my husband. I was like, great, I don't have to work again. This is great. That was what I thought. And then it sort of crept up on me, and now I'm in too deep now, so I'm stuck. But your business kind of totally transformed itself. So you navigated what often could be an unprecedented situation on your actual business, which would have been completely clobbered in the COVID situation that was unforeseen, repositioned yourself, and then repositioned yourself again, because now you do both. So do you want to just talk to any therapist who's probably watching right now about, because that is a story and a half, Katie, because you've totally gone from all, you're already with the A-list of people. That she's not going to say that, I am. Okay, so she had this amazing client base, let me just tell you, but that just got whipped away by COVID. And then there was 2 revolutions that you've managed to navigate whilst maintaining your total authenticity and integrity. So
do you know, it was quite a journey, actually. At the beginning, I thought, oh, my goodness, well, like we all were, we didn't really know what way, which direction, where to go in life. And I thought, I'm always someone that has to have a plan, has to be busy. I just got that about me. I like having something to do. So I've supported all my clients I have my business for about 20 years. I've supported my clients throughout lots of different things in their lives. And suddenly I couldn't see them. So suddenly it was like, how do I get to see them? How do I still manage to give them healing? How do I still manage to help them with their skin problems and do things like, you know, trying to get their relationship still going? Because they rely on you, don't they, your clients? They need to have that session with you, whether it's once a month, once, you know, every 2 months or once a year. They still want to see you. So I thought, okay, let's try Zoom. I didn't know how to use a computer.
I was going to say, let's try Zoom. What's Zoom? Do you remember when we did
no idea. No idea.
I still stab at my phone. Bloody work.
Exactly.
And then because I've been working with you, Katie, for such a long time. We were doing talks in London about gua sha and trying to get people in love with the tools, and it was working, but we were doing it quietly behind the scenes, weren't we? We weren't on screen. I wasn't on Instagram or anything like that. So you gave me that little push, Katie Brindle.
Get in there. You're so kind. Can I just say for anyone watching, it was not a little push. It was a kick up the arse. We're thinking, oh, I don't think I can do it. And I just get on with it. You'll be fine to do it. So just to say, Katie, have you got your very first broadcast? Because I have. And it's, Danielle, have you got yours? It's so bad. I was like, hi.
Yeah.
Oh, is it on?
So
Can you hear me? Hi, I'm Katie.
And one person turns up to watch as well.
My first Facebooks, literally, you could only see half my face, and there was no one watching. No one, not one person.
But
you did it anyway, and that's the key. You just keep doing it and keep doing it. It's the consistency and the showing up every day, and that's what well, both of you are amazing at doing, and that's what you had to do, Katie Blake, didn't you? Because, like say,
I had to, because Katie had already grown her. Well, you were growing your business, Katie. Have I frozen? No,
you're still there. Don't worry.
I'm doing it still. That I then I was jumping in your kind of slipwind, if you like to say, like kind of, okay, I'm going to support Katie with her tools. And I love doing that. I love talking about gua sha. I love talking about acupuncture. I love talking about acupressure. I love all of that. So I went on my first live. I actually had 100 and something people watching me, and the numbers were just going up. And I thought, I suddenly looked like I was in headlights. Didn't know what to do. So, but everyone was so supportive in Hey You. Everyone was so lovely, going, "You're doing really well." I had so many lovely comments. So it's always been a beautiful community. And then you said to me, why don't you start doing one-to-ones and showing people? So I learned how to do my Zoom, and I did my first Perfecto Gua Sha class. And I, again, didn't know how to turn it all on. So I had my 11-year-old daughter come in and help me turn on the computer.
Who was what, 9 at the time?
No,
that's so embarrassing, isn't it?
Like,
oh, that's funny.
But it just then started roller coasting, because I think people could see that we're just going with it. We're talking about something that we're passionate about. We love what we're doing, and the community's just grown, and we've got so many success stories now. So many.
So Danielle, then what happened was really we then all met. Well, I met you. Yeah. Did you meet Katie through me, or did you meet Katie anyway? I can't now. It's also messed up.
I know. So I met you before we even knew what COVID was. Do you remember you came to my house and we did a podcast together?
Yes, I do.
So that's the first time we met in person. And then at the beginning of lockdown, Katie Blake, you started to do your masterclasses, and I messaged you because obviously I knew that you were working with Katie. Said I'd love to join one of your masterclasses. It'd be great to come along. And then from there, we all just collaborated together. It was just really lovely. Actually, today I found a really nice video of us in the summer when we were in your garden, Katie, all together, and it just made me think, oh, it's so nice, A, to have the sunshine, but B, just to all be together in person like that, and all just collaborating together, because we are stronger together. And I think that's the message that we need to give to all women, whether they be in wellness, whether it's in friendships, whether it's in families, whether it's in workplaces, whether it's in corporate, whatever it is. Actually, we have to be a sorority, we have to be a sisterhood, and we have to lift each other up. And that's what we all do. You know, we promote each other as much as we can. We share as much as we can. If one of us has got knowledge in one thing, we'll share it with the other one, and vice versa. And that's what we do as well with everyone that's doing our facial gua sha teacher training course. We share everything we know. You know, we don't hold anything back, because we want people to succeed. We want other women to succeed. You know, we're in a new era now, a new paradigm, and I honestly believe with everything that's happened in the last 2 years, we are in a completely different paradigm, a completely different world in so many ways. And I really do believe that it's a world now where women have to stay together, they have to stick together, and we can be really, really powerful together.
I agree. I'm sorry, Katie, go on.
No, that's definitely that. Yeah, I agree completely. And I felt so supported by you both, because you're both so good at what you do. I've been very lucky to have you both supporting me, and when I have little moments, Katie, this, Danielle, that, you know, I'm asking you both for your advice, and you've been such good female kind of ambassadors of my kind of bringing myself into who I am. I just, I've been very lucky, and everyone's so lucky to have you supporting them with this course as well.
Well, I think the thing we have such alignment between our brands, and I think that's the thing to say to any ladies watching this, or men, of course. We're not male exclusive, although there are not many men on our platform. Although welcome if you're there. But the reality is that sort of female energy, it is all about alignment. It's not about suppression. I think if we were three old paradigm people in this industry, there would have been a sense of squashing, where you look at each other's businesses and you go, hang on a minute, you're going to compete with me, so I'm going to buy you out or squash you down or dump kind of overwhelm your audience with my messaging, which is how the old business model worked. And that's why you end up with these massive skyscrapers and these huge global conglomerates, and then you end up in this powerless situation that we all grew up with. I remember joining Greenpeace when I was really young. I was only about 9, when I joined.
Wow.
I've always been quite militant, funny enough, about this stuff, but felt helpless. This was all about acid rain then. God, that's the least of our worries now. My God, but anyway, but at the time it was acid rain, and to a 9-year-old that felt quite scary. And I was sort of campaigning away, and the reality was I felt helpless as an individual. I was like, well, I can't make any difference whatsoever. I've got a government that's not interested. You've got commerce that's not interested. You've got people at the top of commerce going, well, it's all about our shareholders. And interestingly, I was talking this morning to one of my wonderful community, a lady called Sarah, who, God bless you, who was talking to me about the triple bottom line. And now the bottom line is no longer just about the numbers at the bottom, although obviously profit is part, but it's also about people and planet. And that's what the bottom line is now. And as a business, if you're going to raise money or you're trying to bring in investment or just raise the profile of what you're doing, you can't just follow the old 20th century paradigm of like, who cares about the planet? It's all about the bottom line. You have to make money, obviously, or you can't pay your staff. So that has to happen. But I think the thing that our three businesses have totally in alignment is that we have the triple bottom line at what we're doing. We are trying to make things better. We're trying to help. And I have to dig deep into that every time things kind of go aground, because sometimes they do. Running a company is not plain sailing. It is not as easy as perhaps people might make out it is. You have to dig deep many, many times in order to kind of navigate through things, as Katie said, that you don't understand, like what's going to happen in COVID, what's going to happen right now, what's going to happen, like no one knows. You just got to make it up as you go along, and you've got to rip your business plan up and go, okay, well that's what I was going to do, but I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do this instead. And I think that's something that our businesses, we have an alignment with each other. Katie, would you say that?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, it's been amazing, because all of the different situations that we've been through throughout the last few years, this has really sat strongly. The course has sat strongly. It's been able to adapt itself with the current climate, which has been amazing. And we've got people from all around the world, depending on what their country is going through. We've been able to support these people.
And Danielle, how have you found, because I think yours is the most mature of all the businesses, how many years have you been doing what you're doing now? Because you were well established before I'd even got off the ground.
Yeah, so I've been doing about 17 years. The first sort of half of my business was much more in-person yoga, face yoga, wellness, teaching, whether it be one-to-one or group. So I did that for many, many years, but I was still establishing the face yoga techniques and the face yoga brand as I was doing that. I started doing teacher training in face yoga in 2011. So we do teacher training quite a long time. And that's when I started to make physical products like face yoga DVDs. And then we started to bring in skincare, which was amazing. I started to travel a lot. So I was traveling a lot doing speaking around the country. I was traveling around the world as well. Then I had my children. So I was doing that less and less. But I'm still doing that occasionally. And then actually 2019 came. Little did I know COVID was going to come. It was just the best luck in the world. But I decided by the end of 2019 to change almost everything I do to online. So I set up my podcast. I really dived deep into my YouTube channel. I took all my teacher training to online at the end of 2019 as well. And everything else, that all of our courses and everything was set up online. And then, of course, in March 2020, COVID hit. And I was luckily one of the lucky ones that had everything already set up online. But the best thing about particularly the teacher training in face yoga was that people were able to study from home. So again, all these yoga teachers, therapists or personal trainers suddenly overnight had lost their job completely. So we suddenly had a wave of people that said, okay, so I'm going to do the face yoga teacher training now. I'm going to study from home. And some of them completed the course as quickly as a week. You know, they really crammed it and just did it, and then started teaching on that unknown thing called Zoom. And they started teaching one-to-one and group sessions and workshops there. So it was not only really great for me that I've moved everything online, but it was really great for people that wanted to then train in face yoga. And then, of course, we brought in the facial gua sha teacher training, which complemented the face yoga and still complements the face yoga beautifully. And what we're finding is that we're finding people are either coming to the face yoga teacher training and then they want to learn the skills. And Katie, I know this really well because she sees that journey, because she's one of our face yoga super trainers and she's a gua sha super trainer. So they either come in from the face yoga and want to add the gua sha skills, or they're coming in and doing the gua sha and then they add their face yoga skills in it. But it's been really nice actually to see people's businesses and how they've now said, okay, the world's open up. But what I've noticed, and I don't know what you've noticed, Katie Blake, with this, but people tend to be saying, I'm going to do a bit in person now and I'm going to do a bit online. So whereas before everyone was almost all in person, or like I had sort of moved everything to online, but I've really noticed that people are saying, actually, I can do both. And that's lovely for people, because it means, yes, they're going out there teaching their sessions and their classes, and they're going and doing speaking or whatever it might be. They're traveling around or they're doing it locally, but also they know that they can spend some of their time at their desk with their computer open and they can do their sessions like that. So I've loved seeing that actually. Have you noticed a similar thing, Katie Blake?
Yeah, Katie,
Yeah, absolutely.
tell us what, because you've done exactly that. You went from full-time in person, full-time online, and now you're mixed with the two, right?
The two, yeah. I'm even doing something after this, which is in person. But I did. It's been lovely because I'm still doing stuff online. I did an event at Lynn's Franks the other day, teaching everyone face yoga and facial gua sha, which was a lovely experience actually, because we had some of our teachers in the group as well.
That's
so
great.
Nice to meet people.
In person, yeah.
In person, yeah, it's nice to meet people. So it was wonderful. And it is a different experience doing it in person to online, because online you can see everyone in like a little screen, but in person you're having to walk around the room, aren't you, and feel everyone's energies. And it's a wonderful experience doing the two of them, actually. I quite enjoy doing both.
It's nice to have that flexibility.
So in terms of women watching this right now, because I know that all good businesses come from a good idea. Now, having a good idea in the first place is actually quite hard, but that's actually, in my opinion, the easiest bit, because then the next bit is actually the really hard bit, which is actually only 1 in 5 businesses succeed. And that's the truth. So and as a woman in business, the problem that we have is that from the 20th century paradigm, it is very much a male energy. The corporate world is a male energy environment, because women weren't allowed in it until at the absolute best, roughly the 1950s, and only then in the admin jobs. So it's only really been in our lifetimes that women have even got a shot at having their own companies and actually making them successful. And that shot is 1 in 5. So we weren't taught the rules of the game. I did home economics at school, not economics. My daughter now does business studies. That wasn't even on the curriculum. And even though I've studied business studies since, because you have to, it's not my brain. So I find it incredibly difficult to kind of navigate that aspect of my feminine creative energy, where all this is in spades, but this is like an alien concept to me that I still struggle with. So if you don't mind, Danielle, I'll ask you first, obviously, because you've got the most mature kind of like infrastructure. How did you get yourself up to speed with all of the stuff that you need to know in order to not be the 4 in 5 that failed? Because I think that's what people really need to know. Katie, I'm going to ask you the same question.
I would say the first thing is passion. So you genuinely need to have a deep-rooted passion. It needs to come from a real soul purpose place, because that's what's going to ride you through, even on those very, very difficult days, difficult weeks, difficult months, whatever it might be. So it's got to come from a place deeper than just wanting to make money. Of course, you've got to make money too, but it's got to come from very deep. You've also got to have a huge amount of patience as well. And I honestly believe a big reason that a lot of businesses do fail is because actually doesn't work maybe the first month or even the first year, and perhaps they're not bringing in the money or the clients or the customers that they want, and they say, okay, well, it just doesn't work then. But actually, I find that it's patience, and it's turning up even when you have one person on that Instagram live, even when you go and do that in-person event and there's only 3 people there and no one wants to buy anything from you, but you just keep being patient and you keep going at it. And then also having that consistency. So particularly when you are showing up online, just keeping consistent. And I say this all the time to our face yoga teachers and to our facial gua sha teachers as well. You've just got to keep consistent. And you two are great at this, but really showing up every day in any way, because that is how you build. We all started, particularly when it comes to social media, with 0 followers, and we're not paying for followers, we're not paying for big advertising, anything like that. It grows organically, but it's only because we show up every day. And some things you put out there completely flop. I know it does with me. And then other things you put out there are just really, really right and really, really work. So it is just really showing up and being consistent. So definitely the passion, the patience, and the consistency. I would say those 3 things matter so much.
For anyone watching, I'm just going to paraphrase that to the 3 P's. Okay, these are the Danielle 3 P's: patience, passion, and persistence. Because that's the same as being consistent. So that's the 3 P's, the Danielle Collins 3 P's of running a business. So patience, passion, and persistence. Well, no, that's a really, really useful thing to know. Yeah, and just before I ask you the same question, Katie, and don't worry, there's no right or wrong answer, it's not a test. But I know from running my business that it came out of passion. It came out of my insides, and I love it to death. And that we all are. You can tell we are passionate because we go the extra mile. I have had to be extraordinarily patient to try and get it off the ground. Oh, and often, funny enough, I said this only this morning to a friend. We were talking about business because she had an issue. And I said, the thing is, you've just got to keep going. You just have to keep going. You just stick with it. And that's the persistence that goes on. And that the patience it can drive you absolutely bonkers, because you're busting a gut, you're working all hours, you're sacrificing everything that you've got, your time with your children, your time with yourself, any savings, anything you own, anything. You have to just shove it into the company, and it doesn't necessarily reap the reward as soon as you'd like it to. And you have to drag yourself, sometimes in front of the camera, sometimes in front of your team, sometimes just in front of yourself, where you just feel like you're never going to get there and it's never going to break. And then suddenly you get some scrap, some tiny little thing that's just enough to just keep it going whilst you keep feeding. And it is, for me, that kind of energy. So Katie, how about you? What's your advice?
I definitely think Danielle's 3 Ps are spot on. Absolutely. That passion inside me, but it comes as a child, wanting to work with people, want to help people, want to heal people, always come from inside. But now I've got to this stage, I found that actually learning about the people that you're working with and how they adapt to what you're trying to teach them. So learning about your audience, learning about who, if you become a super trainer, learning about who you're, how you're trying to talk to that person, how you're trying to get them to take on that information, and making sure that everyone in that group of people as well that you're trying to give that information to is comfortable with that situation that you're in. I just think having all of that together makes a perfect ingredient.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think the other thing to say is about integrity, because I think the other thing is it's easy to sort of say women bolster each other up and we all support each other, and that's true, and it's a really good story, and it's a true message. But nonetheless, running businesses is difficult. It is. Money's at stake, time's at stake, visions are at stake. And I think the other thing that we've all kind of led by example is that even when things have been difficult, not necessarily never between us, but just in terms of the market, what's going on, outside factors, perhaps deadlines not being quite met as they should be, and that having ramifications on what we're all doing, that we have this amazing ability to collaborate and to sit down and just go, okay, what are we going to do about this? Like, rather than to sit there going, you didn't do that and you didn't do that, to just dig deep again and go, right, okay, let's be decent human beings here and just work out what are we going to do to fix this, and in a very circular way. And I find that really wonderful, especially when, again, as a child, I used to look at politics in this country and think, I remember sort of looking at the way the Houses of Parliament, again, set up by men, it's in combat. You got the Labour on this side and you've got the 2 main parties opposite each other fighting. So no matter what happens, it's a fight. Tories say this, Labour say that. And they're never in agreement. I mean, there's always, well, they've said this and they've criticised it. Whereas when we've had to work through testing things whereby, when you're trying to get something over the line, there's always problems, aren't there? Always behind the scenes. Things don't get done or things aren't done correctly and you've got to fix it. And it's always been that wonderful energy of collaboration and compromise and a will to kind of collaborate. Maybe that's what I'm saying. Collaborate, compromise, and don't know, what's the third C? I don't know, Danielle, what do you think? Collaboration, compromise.
But actually, the third C is probably a combination of what not to do. So not to compare and not to have competition. So actually, what I think that we do a lot is we look, and I know I did this in early stages of business, I don't do this anymore, but I remember looking at other people doing maybe something similar or maybe even something completely different and thinking, oh my goodness, I'm never going to get to where they are, or oh, they've done that like that, so therefore I can't do it like that, or that constant competition and comparing. My biggest advice for anyone at any stage of business would be just put your blinkers on and focus on you and your passion. You can for sure, and it's really great to collaborate with other people, but don't let your self-esteem get affected by the so-called competition and you comparing yourself to other people, because it will always lead to that negative energy. And what you want to be putting out there for yourself to manifest what you want is that positive thought and that positive energy. So really just focus on you. And often what we do is we're looking at other people and thinking, oh, that's our competition, or comparing yourself. But then you need to ask yourself, is that exactly what you want anyway? Because often we think we should do this because they're doing that. But actually, is that right for us and our business? And actually, we need to come from a deep, going back to that passion and going back to that real deep soul purpose place. That's where we need to come from. So actually, is that what you want, what somebody else is doing? And the other way you may want to flip it and think about it is what I like to call people as expanders. So sometimes if you're looking at somebody and you're thinking, oh my goodness, look at what they're doing, I would love to do that. Use that in a positive way. Use that as an expander. Use that to think, okay, so that means that perhaps I want to, whatever it might be, start a YouTube channel. So therefore, I'm going to go and do that. Use a positive thing, that there's been something triggered emotionally in you when you look at somebody else.
Oh yeah, Katie. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and I think actually when you do look at other people and you sometimes do go into that little mode of it's competition, it's not. It's someone giving you wisdom. It's someone showing you something that you can be. It's someone supporting you in the beliefs that you've got as well, and they're doing it in their own space and you're doing it in your own space, and you can maybe one day get together.
I think community's the third C. I've just
community. So, compromise. What was it? Compromise, commitment, and community.
Yes.
Oh my God, the 3 P's and the 3 C's. This is such a great live. Everyone needs to just watch this live. It's so good. It really is. And actually, do you know what? Both of you have said, such uplifting things that, and I think the other thing to say to anyone watching this is I know, because people tell me, that they look at us, well, I can't speak for you guys because I don't read your direct messages, but I know my direct messages. So many people, you're so inspiring. It's so amazing what you've done. And the reality is they don't see the bits behind the scenes where, you're just like Sonic the Hedgehog going, oh, like this. And it really can get very overwhelming at times. Because it undulates. It's not just a plain sailing. It does go up and down like this, and then something goes your way, and then something unforeseen doesn't, and then the numbers don't come in, but then something else happens, and you've got to somehow stay grounded. And I think, Danielle, that thing that you were saying just then is so relevant. Anyone watching this writing notes going, oh my God, I need to learn from this. Is that absolutely looking at the competition is not a good idea. It does absolutely feed into that negative energy. And I had only that last night. Literally, I was at a very late lunch, so late it was dinner, but so Sunday dinner last night, and someone made some comment about somebody or other who had done X, Y, and Z. And immediately it triggered in me. And I was like, oh gosh, that sort of energy, okay? And then I gathered myself back afterwards. I mean, hang on a minute, that's totally beneath you. It's like, good for her. Well done her for doing what she's done, and well done her that that's gone her way. And it doesn't matter that perhaps that particular execution wasn't my journey. That's not my journey. And I go back into my grounded space, which I think actually is our womb, funnily enough. I was talking to somebody, Fiona Arago, about that on Saturday morning, about the fact that as women, we do have this deeper level of creativity, we create life. And I'm not suggesting you have to not create life to be in business or vice versa. The modern day woman can choose what she wants, whether it's one or the other or both, it doesn't matter. But we have the capacity inside our bodies for this deep-centered creativity rooted in blood and energy, which gives us this ability to drive and to go into this profound space and to change, as you said, Danielle, the paradigm. That we're not in the 20th century business anymore. It's no longer survival of the pale male stale man at the top of the food chain dishing it out like Smarties to the shareholders. That is just simply not where business is going. And we are the reality of the businesses that are breaking that through, going, we don't have to be in some massive skyscraper in the city of London costing hundreds of thousands of pounds a year in rent. We can be smallish businesses run from home whilst we're bringing up our children, which aren't aiming for 85% market share of whatever it is. We're just aiming to be really good at what we do and to communicate that to people that we love. Wouldn't you both say?
Absolutely. Completely. Yeah, definitely. I think, like you say, it's a new paradigm, a new way of looking at things now. And I think we need to really embrace that for sure.
If anyone's got any question, yes, you're right, Sarita, you're just saying that place. I don't want to push on the questions because then I'm going to cover faces and I really don't want to do that. But you're absolutely right, Sarita, you're saying that it's that insecurity, seeing someone else doing well and learn to invest in your own energy helps so much to drive forwards. I mean, that absolutely. And I think it's something as women in business, we need to kind of have these things written down in our books, the 3 Ps, the 3 Cs, don't get caught up in other people's kind of successes if you're feeling negative. I think something that I learned from being in America quite a bit with Richard is that the energy in the States, just from my own just being there, just as as an outsider, is it's very much aimed for you to succeed. They have an opinion that if someone else is successful, you want to hang around them because I think they think that it radiates, which it does. That success radiates. So I want to be around you guys because your success equals my success. So hello, let's all be successful together. And I think it's a bit more of a British thing where we traditionally can be a little bit sort of like sort of crab anticky, or almost kind of like, oh, well, I don't want that person to be successful because somehow that's taking success away from me. So Danielle, what do you think about? Sorry, I'm going Danielle. I'm going left to right, Katie. Sorry, I can't help myself. So Danielle, my eyes go. Danielle, what do you think about that?
I completely agree. And actually, I think, again, we're in a different era. I mean, we've all got daughters. And I know that I know you two will be very similar to this. We're bringing our daughters in a very, very different way to actually look at this community and this collaboration and this empowerment of each other now. Because actually, being around other people who inspire you and being around people that perhaps are even more successful than you is a great thing to do because you learn from people, and those people are going to not have that horrible sort of, like you say, old paradigm jealousy where people don't want you to do well, but actually they want to raise you up. And that would be really big advice as well to anyone that's new in business or even quite established in business. Surround yourself by people who raise you up, people who really want to see you succeed as well, and also people that are where you want to be. That's also a really inspiring thing as well, whether it be mentors, whether it be coaches, whether it be friends, whether it be family, be around those type of people and soak it all up, see the habits they're doing. And one of the biggest things actually, and I should have even mentioned this when we were doing the 3 Cs, the 3 Ps, is actually one of the biggest things is mindset when it comes to business. And actually action is a big part, of course, but I honestly believe when it comes to being successful in business, about 80% of it is your mindset and the other 20% is action. And what we tend to do is we tend to flip that most of the time and just do for about 80% of the time. And maybe we're working on our mindset and our energy and our positivity about 20% of the time. But maybe try flipping that a little bit and thinking, okay, how much am I actually working on my mindset? And then do the action from that. Sometimes I'll do things like I'll go for a walk, or I'll go for a swim in the morning, or I'll take the morning off because I know that's when I can tap into my creativity. And then when I sit at my desk for the afternoon, I find that the ideas flow. I find that I do what I need to do. And actually that mindset part of it is probably what I know it's been the most important thing, particularly over the last, I would say, 3 years of really transforming my business.
Katie, what do you do when it gets for your mindset? Because
I do a lot. Sorry.
No, go on. Carry on. So I was just going to repeat it.
I do a lot of grounding. I do a lot of grounding. Like you say, Danielle, I walk, I clear my mind. otherwise I'm too busy. I'm thinking, right, I need to get from A to B, I need to go and get the kids at this time, do a client at this time, do a live, and your mind gets too busy, so that creativity almost gets squashed, and then by the time it gets to the evening, I'm too tired to bring that creativity to the table. So I do find that I go for a walk in the morning, every morning. I do that with my little doggy. I ground myself. I write down my clear thoughts. Even if I've got a busy day, I just write them down just so I know they're on paper. And then when I have that time, and I do take those half days off, those half days I sit with my notepad and row on those thoughts.
Yeah, so
I think that's really good advice. I was just trying to think if there's a way of doing the three. Somebody just asked earlier, what were the 3 Ps? So should we recap them?
Persistence, patience, and
Passion.
Yeah.
There
and
are
the 3
3
Cs are
commitment,
yeah,
commitment, and what's the third?
I would say courage.
That wasn't it, but I do like that
It's
one.
not what we said. Does anyone remember all these brilliant things that we've been saying?
Again.
Community, commitment, and connection. What?
Connection.
Was it consistency?
Consistency, because community, commitment, and consistency, and compromise, and courage. So it's the 5 C's. Someone needs to write this down. Can they write it down and DM it to us, please? Because I can't bloody remember. But I do think you need to be courageous. You do.
You do.
And actually, especially this year, because it's a Yang Tiger year, so it's a big old year. So you have to be quite raw about what you're doing. You can't sit there going, you can't be half-hearted, in my opinion, at all. Like, you've got to be prepared to go to boundaries that you didn't think you were capable of doing. You can't, I know, I've learned that you can't sit there and go, oh, I don't do that bit, I don't know that bit, I'll get someone else to do that. You just have to go, okay, I don't understand tech, well, now I'm going to have to. I don't know how to sell, well, now I will have to. I don't know how to write a business plan, well, now I'm going to have to learn. You can't sit there kind of on any level sort of compromising your own skill set if you want something to work. You've just got to roll up your sleeves and learn. Like I say this to ladies when I'm talking to them, so sometimes you've just got to grow a pair of balls and sit on them and feel what it's like to be a bloke. Because you see, as women, we were not brought up energetically to own power, even though we were technically equal, which we were not, FYI. But, you know, we're not given the reins of power naturally. We're sort of brought to be girls, oh sweet, play with a dolly, you know. Just even the toys we're given have got different kind of, they did all these amazing experiments where they showed, they dressed girls in boys' clothes and gave them boys' toys and did the opposite to see what they would do, and inevitably they just acted in the way that gender acts. But we didn't get that. I was still very much the Cindy, the Barbie doll, the girly toys, the makeovers, you know, the girls' world. And it was all very much encouraging, looking pretty and wearing, well, we didn't have the money for that. But I remember thinking I wanted to look pretty and wanting that to be part of my reality. And actually, sometimes I think to succeed now, you have to slightly exaggerate the male side of it, because we do have yang inside us. We're yang on the inside. You've got to bring that raw out through the body, because you've got to drive it. You can't just sit back and go, oh well, you know, I don't know, I might do that tomorrow. I think the thing that I've discovered from doing what started as an idea in clinic, going, there must be a better way of doing this, how hard can that be, which was a stupid understatement of thinking it, because the answer is incredibly difficult. But the reality is the amount of time commitment and juggling that I knowing the backdrop we've all talked about as mothers, that there is a colossal amount of this going on to make it happen. Would Katie and Kate, I'll go Katie first on this one. I mean, and I know the answer is yes, because I know what goes on behind the scenes, because we're mates with our kids. So how much juggling is going on in your life?
Yeah, it is kind of being super organized really helps. So I do have a paper and electric diary now where I've got everything written down. So I try not to ever have anything overlap, but sometimes it happens, and you have to kind of deal with it in the best way that you can. But yeah, trying to be as organised as I can to make sure I have a smooth ride in business is definitely key.
Yeah. And Danielle, how about you? Because you've got two daughters as well.
I have, yeah. And it is about just finding that balance. And something which I've been really passionate about ever since I started my business was being myself in control of the hours that I work. So even to this day, if I now want to take the rest of the afternoon off, I can do, you know, I'm completely in charge of that. And that's what I want to I want to bring my children up knowing that they can be in charge. They don't have to be working for someone else that tells them exactly when they need to be at a certain place. You know, they can have that flexibility. They can put self-care first. And it's been really interesting, particularly over the last few days to me, because we're talking a lot about the risks and the courage and really just putting yourself out there and not being scared to do that. I feel like I've gone through that experience the last few days. I don't know if you two saw last night, but I've actually launched a second business, which is called Soul Purpose Business. And it's a business coaching course for women in wellness who want to grow on social media, but also beyond social media as well. And it's going to be amazing high-level coaching course. But actually, for me, it's been really nerve-wracking. And even putting the post out on Instagram last night, I actually felt butterflies in my tummy for the first time in ages, because actually putting yourself out there, doing something really different, and I say really different, but of course I've been doing this through our face yoga teacher training for years, giving people advice. And actually I've noticed more and more, you know, people come up to me, so Danielle, how can I do this on social media? Or how did you do that? Or exactly like what we're talking about today, you know, how did you navigate your way through certain things? So I knew that putting it in a course would be the right thing to do. But actually there's still that part of me that thinks, what if I fail? What if no one turns up for the course? What if no one wants this? What if people judge me for this? You know, and all these thoughts, and I'm still having them at the moment. So actually, it's a great experience for me to go right back to the beginning. I know it's different because I have a platform and I already have one established business, but definitely those feelings of questioning yourself, of the fear, but just doing it anyway. Even if you feel scared, do it anyway. Even if you think I'm putting this out there and it's 80% done, not 100% as you wanted it with everything perfect. I mean, you should have seen last night how we were racing around, the website wasn't working, doing this, you know,
sounds
all
familiar.
That crazy, exactly, all that crazy behind the scenes, and then thinking maybe we should wait a week before we launch it. But no, actually, we've got this plan, let's put it out there, let's do it, because it's there to help people, it's there to make a difference, and people need this and they need to hear about it. But it's giving me that massive empathy again about that, questioning yourself, about that fear. But my advice definitely would be for anybody that's either wanting to start a business or that is already established in a business, if you're feeling that fear, please just take the first step today. Because even if you're established and you're thinking, okay, I want to get better on social media, I want to put my first post out there, or I want to make a podcast, or whatever it would be, just take the first step today, because the worst that can happen is you fail and actually it doesn't work, but at least you tried, and then that's way more than lots of people have done. So just take the first step today would be my biggest advice.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. On that note, I have to go teach my Hey You Fit class, which is a classic example of another business that sprung out of nowhere that was never on the plans, that frightened the life out of me, and nonetheless I'm doing it anyway. So because that's what happened, and you run with it. Katie, is there anything else you'd like to add before I very happily close down this wonderful conversation?
And we have got lots of teachers. I just want to add in that, so the teachers that have trained on the course as well, there's a map on both of your websites saying where these teachers are located and how to contact them. So that's nice to have a little look at, because you might be able to find someone in your location.
Yes, we've just added that in. We've been wanting to add that in for ages. It's been a classic example of like no manpower, and we're like, but we've done it now, finally. So it's a really wonderful thing. So there's therapists out there or customers out there who wanting to look good therapists. You know, this is what our brand's all about. It's by infusing and percolating, you know, our standards into all these other brilliant therapists out there, so that they can get to be known. Because half the problem is you've got customers and therapists, and we've got to match the two together, because there are lots of not great therapists out there, and then you get disappointed and you think, that was a waste of money. But when you get a good one, it's life-changing. I mean, I'll have a treatment over anything. It's the best. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. That was a long old feed this morning, but my goodness me, I mean, packed with positivity and more alliterations, but positivity and incredible advice from the three of us who've, all been through our different journeys, and we're all working in collaboration with one another. So it's so joyful to listen to you both and just reconnect like this. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you
guys.
Thank
you for joining. Lots of love. Good luck, Danielle, with your new business. Bye guys.